Okay, I'm Brian Kale from Goose Creek District. That's Loudoun County, Leesburg. So, had a little bit of a drive this morning. Come on, baby, you want to work? You want to work? Now, a lot of people when they walk into the campfire planning one, they go, "Okay, this is great. We're going to just talk about program." That's not all there is to campfires. Okay, I'm just warning you up front because campfires is a very holistic thing. There's the safety portion of it. There's the setup portion of it. There's where do you have it part of it. There's the program part of it. There's lots of pieces, so hold on, here we go. All right, we build these fires, and as soon as the fire's built, I don't care what the boys are doing. It doesn't matter what they're doing, shoot, moss to flames. Every single one of them has a stick, and they're poking the fire, and then they're writing their name with a smoking stick, and you're like, put the fire, yeah. That's what Cub Scouts is, okay? And to expect anything else is crazy talk, really. And I have all these parents, they shouldn't do that. This is what they're going to do. We're just managing the chaos, okay? It's okay. This is what I did as a boy, this is what my kids do as a boy, and this is what their kids will do as a boy. That's the way it is. But why do we have campfires? Obviously, the poking with the sticks is cool, but that's not really a program. It really doesn't teach a whole lot. Well, let's talk about campfires in general. Warmth, you bet. Chances are you guys probably go camping once, twice a year. Our second campfire camping trip is usually late October, early November when I get up. Always the first one up. It's a little chill in the air, create a little fire. The boys come out, looking like in a coma, and they just huddle by the fire. And they warm up, and the next thing you know, they're poking sticks in the fire once they can actually move their arms again. So, warmth. Cooking. Our pack cooks on the fire. I try to do as much cooking as possible on the fire because it's different than home. You know, cook stove is just like your home, it's just green and hisses. So, you know, but it's about the same. But I try to do as much as possible. But historically, you know, scouting units did cooking on the fire, that kind of thing. Plus we do s'mores, that's cooking-ish. And entertainment. It has always been a source of entertainment. You know, conversations happen there. People naturally want to sit there and they'll sit there for hours and just talk about whatever's on their mind or nothing at all or stare into it, listen to the bugs around them, whatever's going on. Every once in a while throw another stick on, right? You've done that. We've all done that. I've slept by a fire because it's like, you know, it doesn't get much better than this. I'll just lay down here. So it's always been a draw for everybody. Okay? So we've got all these things, but for scouting, we need to know that it's not just about the entertainment value. There's a togetherness function, yes, but there's also ability to create excitement, memories, and teach a lesson, which is what scouting is all about. So that's why we're going to talk about a campfire program. So, why do we have it? Tradition. Absolutely. Since the very beginning of scouting, there have been campfires. Before scouting, there have been campfires. Let's face it. Dawn of time. Fire is cool. If you ask boys what they love about camping, fire's right up there. That's the cool factor. And that applies to the big boys too. Ooh, yeah, fire's cool. Make the fire, make it bigger. Yeah, that's what we do. That's what guys do. I'm going to put another log on there, another one. Next thing you know, you got a 7-foot tall fire, and you're like, seriously, we don't need this. You know, it's a great day at the end of the day. You've done all this exercise, and it's nice to start winding down. The darkness around you, but yet you've got this nice warm glow that makes you feel safe, and it's good. Great memories. My best memories in scouting, campfires. Usually fun little skits, craziness, the really big fires that can be seen from space. Those have always been my great memories, right? And it's always fun. Fun, fun, fun. If you're not having fun in Cub Scouts, you're doing it wrong. And that applies to you, the leaders, you, the parent, and you, the boys. It should be fun. Okay? Well, what's scouting's deal? Scouting's tradition of campfires goes back to the very beginning. Baden-Powell, you know, he employed it during Brown Sea Island. It has been around forever. We use it as an outdoor activity. Part of the outing and scouting, to get the boys out. It's part of the adventure. Okay, time for reflection. Here's the thing that most people skip, right here. It sets the stage for the boys and the adults to be receptive for deeper meanings. It's a calmness, a learning moment, where it's like deep thoughts by the campfire program. Those kind of things come in. Now, everyone's like, oh, can we not just have a fire for the sake of a fire? Sure. But you're missing a prime opportunity because at that point, everyone is in this sort of safe zone. They feel really good about being there. And even the parents who are watching their little kids poke sticks in the fire are still happier. They're happier being there. They're being outside. They feel good about themselves. Okay, but here's the biggest reasons. The campfire encourages family togetherness. Absolutely. Even if it means it's because mom and dad are there and afraid that Timmy's going to fall into the fire, there's family togetherness. Hopefully that's not the fear, but sometimes it is. You know, and it builds teamwork. The Cub Scouts getting together the wood, as far as learning about the different type of fire types they can build, safety with the fire. Then later on doing things like campfire programs, skits, songs, cheers. This is working in teamwork and the ability to practice and have a fun time. So this is why scouting likes campfires. So let's get down to the brass tacks. What does it take? The 4 S's. Showmanship, songs, stunts, stories. Yeah, those are great. But you need the big P. Everybody's like, oh no, every scouting course is about planning. I hate planning. Planning's not fun. Okay, true. Planning's not usually fun. But planning makes all the difference in the world from being a mediocre kind of thing to an amazing thing. Okay? There we go. So what do you plan? Everything. Oh, we gotta plan everything? Yes. Yeah, you do. It comes down from location, responsibilities, what ifs, safety. In reality, safety should be here, 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 and here. Safety should be your #1 concern. There is absolutely the worst possible thing to be a boy or an adult being hurt on a camping trip, especially with fire. All of a sudden, something really bad can happen if safety's not, you're not looking after safety. There's some serious consequences. So, but it's tempting to go, we're just going to make a fire, and we're going to have a program. All right. So let's talk about location. Well, you're going to have a fire, and it should be a magical place. It should be to take you to a different world, a place you've never been. Yeah, look at this vista here. Oh, it's gorgeous. The echo off the lake is probably amazing when you do your cheers. These are great places. I mean, look at this amphitheater. You can just imagine the kind of stories of elves and all kinds of, things going on in the forest, right? Okay, how many of us actually have a campfire at places like that? Maybe once in a blue moon? Maybe. These are awesome! And if you know where they are? Use them. Absolutely. But this is unrealistic. This is not...
Do you?
I don't know where either one of those are. I've been to a place that's similar to that, but it's been a really long time, and it's not somewhere that I go very often. But, you want to take every opportunity, and that's not what they normally look at. So let's, it's yes. You want to do all of these things, and every single chance you get, please do. But unique is not available. So what do? Well, go wherever you can. It doesn't have to be so beautiful, but the one thing it must do is you must be looking after the leave no trace principle. Okay? Just because you're at a campsite and because the fire ring there is not magical doesn't mean that you go 40 feet into the woods over here and create a new fire ring, because it is magical. Leave no trace is exactly that. You're not creating new fire rings. You're using what you have at that moment. You're using the campsites as built. There are plenty of ways to jazz them up and make a great program without ruining the environment while you're doing it. We're scouts who want to take care of the places we go. Okay? You want to help the boys understand that too. This is an opportunity to talk to them about what the damage of a fire ring does. What does it do? Well, it sterilizes the ground, and it creates this large area of no vegetation, and you have to clear off enough for fire safety. This and that, this and that. This is a great learning opportunity. Hell, they can be part of the understanding here. Okay, we're going to set this up. Why should we use this? How should we clean up this existing fire ring to be safe? Great opportunities. Set up prior is a must, though. You can't just wing it, because you're going to create a fire, and then you're going to have a program, and you're going to have the boys hanging around the fire, and so you need to make sure that the setup's done right. All right, so here's the typical thing for packs. When you go camping, you usually have a meeting area, a food prep area, something like that. A lot of times these two are exactly the same place. Fire pack is always the same place. And then a possible away from camp. So let's talk about for a second. Meeting area. So let's say you have an area that you've been meeting at, and you've been doing a program. Let's say you've been doing compass work, and maybe you did another belt loop or something like that. Okay? And then it's time for the campfire. And time. Now we're moving to campfire. Okay, there's no transition. That's the con. And that's, you can overcome it, but that's the one thing you got to keep in mind. How am I going to transition this from this part of the program to this part of the program so the boys see the difference? If it's your food prep, You've got to make sure that you've cleaned up the refuse, you've cleaned up everything, you've pulled away the dishes, everyone's done eating. You don't want to have a campfire while people are still eating with their, and you want to make sure that's all done. And you need to make sure for safety too, that there's no cooking utensils or any kind of hot pots and pans hanging around. These kind of things, safety considerations. Now, if it's away from camp, this is the one that most people overlook the most. If it's away from camp, you have to actually get there. You got to walk there, and you're going to be taking your Cub Scouts, their little siblings, and the parents. They may or may not be very good about trails, using flashlights, finding places. You've got to keep this in consideration. If the trail has roots at certain points, you almost need to put a lantern at every single point where there's roots of possible trip hazards. So people wonder, why is there light here? Oh, there's roots. Because most people, they have a flashlight, they're over here, they're over here, they're over here, they're over here, and they're not looking at the area where their next step is, which is what they should be doing. So this is the one thing that most people overlook. So if you're going to use away from camp, like for instance, there's an amphitheater or something close to where you're camping, like if you're at Camp Snyder, you can go there. You need to know, okay, we're getting on the road. Okay, the road's safe, but then we get on this off point, and you got to just sort of know the transit where you're going to go. Okay, so now you've decided about where you're going to be. How about other things? Indoor versus outdoor, open area, fire versus no fire, seating, setup area. Oh my gosh, planning is so hard. Okay, this becomes second nature eventually, so hold on. Indoor versus outdoor. Anyone done an indoor fire yet? Indoor fires? Yeah, good. I do one of my pack meetings every year as an indoor campfire. That little fire we see outside the door, that's our fire. That fire is from fakefire.com. It is $100. It is awesome. I tried building one myself, but for $100 I couldn't build anything close to that. I mean, the LED lights, the fans, everything, it's like a really cool fire. And it's from a little ways away. It really looks awesome too. You almost expect heat to come off of it. To the point when I put it in schools, what kind of heat's coming off? None. Really? And people have to put their hand in it. So it's really cool. But if you're going to have it indoor, it can also be like an indoor that has a fireplace. It could be something like that. Or it could be an indoor that has some type of more of a centralized, almost like a hood with a fire area too. These are lots of different options. So it could be fire or no fire. Indoor is good, the fact it's climate controlled. If it rains, who cares? It's confined space for Cub Scouts. That's both good and bad. Confined keeps them there. Confined also amplifies their noise level. There's no way for the sound to sort of dissipate. It really does. But you do have controlled lighting too. If something happened and all of a sudden you need to get the lights up, boom, you got it. Or if you want to use the lights as part of the program, great. If you're outside, obviously you got a million people with flashlights or whatever, but you've got to think these things through. Outdoor, that's what kids think of as far as a fire. So most people naturally move that way. Natural fading light's a good thing because it sort of creates a sense of like a cocoon, like you're having a story inside this little bubble. And obviously fire, the chance of actually having a fire is much higher. Obviously you can build a fire. Just don't build one that can see from space. All right, so you're indoor. What do you consider? Seating areas. Where are they going to sit? Are they sit on the floor? Are they going to bring in chairs? How's it going to work? Remember that sound carries well, but the ambient sound is also something you have to overcome. So in a sense, and sometimes you actually have to speak louder inside just because of the nature of either the echo or the other ambient noise that's going on inside from the boys' chatter. A lot of times you go to places now, they have an emergency light, one light that will not go off. So sometimes it's like you can't get the real darkness you want. When I do the indoor campfire at our school, there's 3 lights, and so I try to move to our darkest corner, but it's not pitch black like I really love it. But that's just for safety, and that's the building's requirements. Flags typically work better on indoor ones too because you've got places you set a flag stand, you're good. I mean, you can do outdoor too with a yard stake, but that's usually not the way you go because by the time they can be seen or in an outdoor fire, chances are your fire is big enough that you actually have a fire hazard, so you have to keep that in mind. Now, just because you're having indoor fire doesn't mean that you can say, hey, fire's okay, I don't need to really be worrying about its safety. Okay? Now, obviously, in this one right here, where it's a fireplace, chances are the fire is not going to roll out and burn the place down. It has the potential, but it's a lot more confined. That doesn't mean you shouldn't have fire safety gear. It just doesn't have to be quite as close to the fire. It still has to be, where people know where it is and can get to. It just doesn't have to be within about 4 or 5 paces of the fire. And everyone needs to know where emergency exits are. If something does happen, there are doors and indoors. We're outside. If something happens, people just tend to move away from the problem. So, but it is fun, and don't miss that opportunity, because a lot of times you can have an indoor campfire that doesn't require parents. Sometimes, oh, I just don't want to go camping. It's all the packing, and you leave for 1 day, you leave for 10 days. You pack about the same amount of stuff, and it's usually about a car and a half worth. And you got it all stuffed in there, and most parents are like, oh, I got to pull it out. You could do an indoor campfire just for the evening, and then people go home and sleep in their own beds, which is very neat. And a lot of parents are like, yeah, we'd love to do that one. So it's okay. That moves them towards camping outside. Outdoor. Still got to define the seating area. That's a fact. So you have to set a safe zone for the fire, as far as the number of feet out from the fire, depending on its size, where you need to make sure clear of all kinds of obstructions and all kinds of flammals. You also need to make sure that your fire safety equipment is much closer, because the tendency of like building a log cabin or a log rolling off one direction or another, you have to be aware of where it is, and so it's not as well confined. Songs, cheer, skits, outside, louder voice, yeah, but truthfully, I prefer the outside as far as song skits, because there's always an echo effect. The boys like that. You can always play that as part of a skit or something that's going on. A cheer like a cheer box, ah! And they stop and hear an echo back, and the boys think that's awesome. So, and you have to set up a performance area. Well, you have to do that inside too, but it's usually more obvious for the performance area. It's in front of the fireplace, where outside there's a lot more options. Okay. Always leave no trace. Size of fire should be examined to fit the size of the space. I've said that quite often. One of the recent campfires I went to, I was not in charge of. The fire was actually about 15 feet tall and about 5.5, 6 feet wide. Way too big. It was awesome, but way too big. I mean, this is the point, like 12 feet back, you're like, whew, still a little hot. It was people who could make a massive fire. So make sure it fits the size and what you want to do. Okay, open area versus closed area. A lot of people don't think about this one. It's very funny that typically small groups and families prefer closed areas. For some reason or other, in their minds, they feel safer, like their children can't wander off. In reality, they can wander off anywhere, if you leave them alone long enough. But people feel closer together. And the size of the area tends to be driven by the size of the group. If you have a large weeblery, campery, that typically it's a very large open area. They like openness because of the ability to put units in sort of different areas. Seating is much easier to figure out, but typically packs like closed areas. Now that's not something that well, we can't go do this one here because it's an open area. No, it's just so that you're aware of some of the thought processes of what people are thinking about when they're there and how to manage it. So, okay, how do you have a campfire without a fire? Well, number one, like I have there. But my pack, for the longest time, used to have an indoor campfire on our camp inn, which was 2 flashlights and a bunch of crumpled up aluminum foil. That's all. I feel like that's lame. The boys would say something, that's not a real fire, but about 2-3 minutes into it, didn't care, because we were doing skits and songs and having a fun time. It was just a central focus point. I've seen a pack that used like 3 or 4 lanterns put together. I've seen things that, all kinds of, a light bulb. I've seen, kind of just as a fan moving just colored silk. Whatever. It's the object of just having a centralized location. And you can use that as part of your skit. Obviously if there is no fire, there is no real danger, so all of a sudden there's a lot more opportunities to, as far as doing things. But no matter what you do with that, make sure you're always paying attention and teaching the boys safety as if there was a fire. A skit where they're going there and they're sticking their hand in the fire is probably not the best lesson for later, when there really is a fire. Or else you'll be moving to a first aid lesson really fast. It doesn't diminish the magic. The boys have a great time. It's about the program. There we go. The pile of glow sticks, I've seen some people swear up and down that that's awesome, but I can't imagine the number of glow sticks it would require to make that a realistic thing, enough light. Maybe if you have 15 or 20, I don't know. It might be interesting. You know, I've also seen where you pop a glow stick and you put it into water and you shake it up and it becomes sort of a lantern. Maybe the object here is just a centralized point where people recognize this is the fire area. All right, seating. A lot of pets do not pay attention to this at all. Sit where you want. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Notice this guy right here. They are sitting in the round. He's playing a guitar. I'm sure that works perfectly for what he's doing right there, which is basically background music. If it was a skit, where would he stand? Yeah, he would stand in the fire. If he's over here, these people can't see. If he's over here, you know, in the round very rarely works, except if it's going to be like a song. But you know, you want to start encouraging them to work as teams too. Having Den sit together is very good, especially as the MC. Okay, Den 2 is going to do their skit, and Den 3 are on deck, and I know where to look. Look, Den 2's gotten up, Den 3's preparing their stuff, I know, and I can sort of see what's going on. If they're all spread out everywhere and I say Den 2's up, then Den 3's next, I don't know really what they're doing. It's hard to tell. And the Den leaders can't go, quick guys, let's go, if they're all over the place. Also, the parents know where they are, which is good, because you want your parents strategically placed too to sort of manage their kids. You know, just because it's scouting doesn't mean that they check out. So, I'm sitting with their friends, so they got a tiny bit of freedom, but they're still under observation. These are still 6 to 11-year-old boys. All right, here, in my opinion, is the optimal setup. Okay, fire here, we're fire sectoring. This is your stage area. You've got an on-deck area here, which is sort of blocked off and darkened because it's behind the fire. You've got the fire safety gear, which is over here, where no one should be walking, but yet it's easily accessible, so no one's going to step on a rake. That'll end up meeting real fast. But yet everybody has a good seat. That's about right. Obviously your fire safety ring is determined by the size of the fire. If the fire is really big, fire ring is really big too. Okay, so you're like, phew, got through location settings. You got to get the program yet? Not yet. We're almost there. How about responsibilities? Oh no, not responsibilities. Here's all the responsibilities about doing a campfire. Oh my gosh, that's a lot of people. Do you guys actually assign all these? Anybody? Yeah. Very few people do, because ultimately it requires a ton of people. However, I will say there's a couple of these that absolutely positively need to be having only that one job and nothing more. I'll tell you more about that in a second. Okay, so you have the planner. Anybody can be the planner. It could be the cub master, who's the MC or not the MC, it doesn't matter. It could be a den leader, it could be a parent, doesn't matter. The key to planning is that they're collecting all the skits, everything's going on, they know a general amount of time each one's going to take, and they sort of have a sense of, real excitement down to less excitement, and they sort of stack them in there. That's the key. When you're doing planning, and if you use the program planner, which I'm not saying you absolutely have to, I use it because I personally like it. In fact, I have my batting order, how long each thing takes, and what props are required, so each den leader has it. Like, oh yeah, we're next. Very cool. But by doing that, the planner is its ability to put all these things together. You know what's going to happen next, and you also can have a plan B and a plan C. Things are taking longer than they should be. Whatever you want to control your time, and you have the ability to change your own. All right, so does the MC have to do that? BSA says the MC should do it. I say it's not necessary for the MC to absolutely positively do it, but the MC has to know what's on the plan. And when the program starts, they need to know the plan and to follow the plan, or else why did you plan? Okay? Master of Ceremonies. What do they do? Everything? No. They're the Master of Ceremonies. They're the face of the program, they're starting it up, they're calling out different groups, maybe they're doing a funny little skit or a little joke in between, in the dead area time. They've got things in their back pocket to, okay, it's taking Den 2 longer to get up here than I anticipated. Well, I'm going to do something real quick. Let's do a cheer while they're getting ready. You're sort of managing the pace. You're watching and reading the audience, understanding, do we need to speed up or do we need to slow down? Yeah, often the straight man for run-ons, the one that when a run-on comes on, they're the one that doesn't quite understand the joke, what? And so that's the funny part. But the MC has a very important job with this. The MC can take it as big and theatrical as they want, or less. I've been an MC where I have worn all kinds of crazy garb, and I've done an MC where I'm in nothing but my scout uniform. There's no wrong way there. It's just what you want to do, how you want to project yourself. It doesn't have to be the Cub Master. Almost every pack I find has the Cub Master be the MC because you know what? They're always in front. They're always the guy leading. Of course they would do the program here. Not necessarily. Give your Cub Master a break. Have the Cub Master sit back and enjoy a campfire. What a novel idea. You know, if you have somebody else that can be out there and be the face, so much the better. Your boys enjoy having a little, you know, things change a little bit. Should always have a pocket full of little time fillers, a few seconds. You know, things that they're going to say, some funny joke, some corny joke. So having the 101 elephant jokes, you know, having a couple of those, you know, in their head. The adults are like, really? Seriously? But the kids think they're funny because they've never heard of them. They're like, oh yeah, it's good. So always have them available. Den leaders. So the den leaders are just sitting back not doing anything. It's a great time for the den leader. No. Before the event, they've chosen, they help the boys choose what they want to do. Song, skit, cheer, all the above. They've practiced with them. They've worked with the MC planner to let them know what they're going to do. And they've coached the boys on, you know, being a good thespian, projecting, you know, facing the audience, not talking into their chest, you know, knowing that little facial expressions are not seen by anybody. You know, what's he doing? I don't know. He's just standing there. You know, those kind of things. It's okay for the leader to be part of the performance, but as best you can, the boys should be the stars. Now, if you've got a tiger den go up there, and you leave the tigers to be nothing but the stars, it will be an interesting little skit. But maybe it might be funny. Maybe it's a little song. Maybe it's a little dance. Who knows? But it needs to be where the leaders are to sort of help them along and keep them on target. Because it's very easy for Cub Scouts to wander off the target, and next thing you know, it's like, wow, moving on. Yeah, so that happens. Song leaders. Good singing is not a requirement. Actually, good singing is probably a detriment. You know, boys love hearing adults sing badly. I think it's funny. I think you're actually trying to be funny rather than you just really can't sing. As a Cub Master, I'm a horrible singer, but I sing loud, and that's what they like. And I encourage the families, you know, I can't sing. Why aren't you singing? Because obviously you can't sing worse than I do. This is great. But you know, having a song leader, just know that the song leader should be good about, you know, getting everyone up and gestures and such, and you know, being a leader. You can't just go up here, okay guys. Boys need bigger motions. They really do. And they need to be able to focus on the song leader and know what's going on. If it's around, you know, not just expecting, you know, it's got to be a big motion. Fire master. Okay, here's one of the positions that, in my opinion, has to be one person that does not have any aspect in the program. Their job is master of the fire. They are responsible for the safety. They may not be the one lighting it, but they should be the one that has reviewed how it's going to be lit and oversee it. And they're typically responsible for making sure it's safely extinguished. You know, the program's going on, log rolls off, the fire master is quietly taking care of it while the MC's or whatever skit's still going on. Not that little Timmy goes, Mr. Kale, that tree's on fire. No, that's not what you want. Okay, program. You're like, yay, what we actually wanted. I know planning's not fun, but it makes better program. Better program. All right, number one. It is important, absolutely important. Everything that goes on in a campfire follows the Scout Ethic law. There were a lot of skits and such that I remember doing as a boy that now don't make the cut. I thought they were hilarious then, probably still do, but they don't make the cut because we're supposed to be demonstrating for the boys and they're supposed to be performing things that are within the Scout Ethic law. Okay? Now, a lot of people are, oh, we're just too, we're too uptight, we're too cautious. Okay, well, why do we even have the argument? There are thousands upon thousands upon thousands of skits. And truthfully, you can make up one of your own. and you can do anything you want. Why do we need to argue about a certain way when there's so many more the boys will enjoy doing? And part of it is them being up there and learning confidence and trying things and practicing. That's the key. Okay? If it even comes close to a doubt in your mind, don't even do it. It's not worth the talk. It's not worth the brain power. It's not worth the potential that some mom or dad comes up to you later and go, I really didn't appreciate that one. It's not worth it. It's just not worth it. Here's the best ones to avoid, Can we all think of one? Well, wait, maybe that's not really offensive when we do that. Yes, we can all think that. I'm just saying, as a general rule, these are best to avoid. Not absolutely positively, you cannot do these under penalty of scouting law and the police will go in. No, this is just best to avoid. Because a lot of them take you into places where people get offended or something's happening. You don't need that. Now, like for instance, cross-gender personalities. One of my favorite ones, as a boy, was a Boy Scout one where there were two scouts that were, it was the Saving the Princess from the Dragon. And what would happen is each one of the Boy Scouts would play like 5 or 6 or actually 10 characters each. And they would have to go quickly change back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Eventually it moved so fast that the costumes were all messed up, they didn't remember who they were, and it just became really funny. Well, one of them had to play the princess. Okay, so under this guideline, you probably wouldn't do that. Okay, well, let's say you need a girl character in one of them. Are there any siblings there? I bet a daughter, one of the sisters would love to get involved. It'd be great. Maybe a mom, maybe one of the den leaders or co-master, that's a female, would love to do that. There are all kinds of opportunities to include the family too. There's a lot of times the siblings are like, I don't want to do that. And the boys go, you're not a Cub Scout, you can't do it. Well, sure you can. Come on.
Invariably, we have at least half a dozen daisies, brownies, or juniors that are siblings to my Cub Scouts at all of our events. Camping, pack meetings, the whole kit and caboodle. They're always there because, well...
And it would probably be fun for them to do a skit on their own, just because it's all, Cub Scout is about family togetherness. It's not just boys. Yeah, we're focused on the boys, but it's great opportunities. And so there's no use, there's no use getting into, oh, I don't want my son to be the pretty princess. Okay, fine. Don't go there. Have this sibling do it. There are lots of opportunities, thousands of skits. So, like I said, there's a doubt. Don't do it. All right. So how about the length? 45 minutes. If your campfire goes longer than 45 minutes, I think you went a little long. I've been to a campfire once, another pack put on, that was almost an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes. Oh my gosh. My behind fell asleep. I had to stand up and I thought I was going to fall over because I couldn't feel my legs. Like, way too long. And the boys were rustling and it was bad.
So just try it out?
Yeah, every skit took 3 times longer than it should have. It was like death. It's like, can I fake a heart attack? It'd be great. 45 minutes is plenty. Now, obviously, that's just a rule of thumb. If you were doing a ceremony, like you're doing a series of some flag retirements as part of your campfire, okay, maybe it goes a few minutes more or less. But 45 is a good rule of thumb. Because that fits in, the necessary number of skits and a couple songs, and everything's a couple minutes long each. Yeah, it's not bad. The boys' attention span is really low. And the younger siblings, their attention span, they get restless and a lot of talking, and you just got to manage all that. And it puts a lot of pressure on your performances if you get them longer. If you're an hour and a half, that's a lot of skits. If each skit's like 4 or 5 minutes long, oh my gosh. And every single transition of one den up, next den down, this is like tough. So 45 is a great way to stay. Now, with your program, follow the fire. This is probably the one thing most people take away from this program. Follow the fire. Here's how you run your fire. Okay? You're starting slowly, just like the fire. When it first gets lit, it takes a minute for it to get going. You're starting your program slowly, thoughtfully. Some build up. Okay? Then moving on to things with energy, chess songs, cheers. When the fire gets to its highest, then it starts to go back down again. You start doing adventure stories and things that are captivating. And then you move slowly to a program with some type of lesson, Cub Master Minute or something, and Scout Vespers when you're getting down to embers. Follow the fire.
And s'mores.
And s'mores. And s'mores. Well, at this point, then you add more wood and you do s'mores. And then you put all kinds of sugar on them and you give them to the parents and go, hey, how you doing? Good luck with that.
I like it because at that point, actually, when we get The few we've had, whatever, you got coals there at that point.
Yeah.
They're not too hot, as you pointed out, for fire, where people are getting.
And there's more so automatically turn black and they all complain, I don't like the black.
First degree burns from just being cold.
So this is a good way to run your program. If you remember nothing else about it, this is probably the best way to, when you put a program together, it should flow like that. All right, so what kind of things do you do? Well, you get the start, songs, ceremonies, these kind of things. Here we go. What do you do for a start? Easy. It's allow the audience to settle in. You can recognize the new families. That doesn't mean they come up for anything. Just say, hey, want to make sure, welcome the Smiths, welcome the Jones, welcome you. We're so glad you can come camping with us. They don't have to get up or anything, but you mention them, and the boys like that. They're not putting themselves out there, but they're being welcome, and the parents do too. Make sure that's a good time to tell your volunteers, hey, thanks so-and-so for getting the food and the prep work, all the cooking. The burger was delicious. You go through that normal stuff. Everyone's still settling down. You're not asking for them to be instantaneously quiet. 'Cause let's face it, it ain't possible. It ain't happening.
Stragglers.
Yeah, always stragglers, always people coming up, always mother's going, did you bring your flashlight? No. So there's always stuff. Campfire etiquette? Everyone should know this. Oh, come on. Really? These are Cub Scouts. Nobody. You need to remind them, hey, turn the campfire, don't shine the flashlight in the participants' face, the people in the skits' faces. Let's not talk. Let's make sure we give everyone their attention, the normal things that we should do as far as etiquette. And we mentioned also, this is a teaching moment that everyone is doing their best. Maybe not being the best, they're doing their best. And that's the most important part, so we should appreciate their effort. Because you would like the same thing for yourself. The teaching moment, program. Tradition, talk about campfires in general. My pack does historic ashes. We take the ashes from the previous campfire and they go to the next campfire. But I always add either sugar to them, magnesium, something to them to give them a little more life. Where the fire goes up a little higher. There's a lot of companies out there that are selling where you can change the color of the fire. It changes either green or purple or red or yellow or white or whatever the case may be. This is the spirit of the fire. This is the cool stuff. This is a magical moment. Our ashes can trace their history back 50,000 campfires. All the way back to Brown City. If you go to any council or district event, I'm willing to bet that they have historic ashes that after the fire, you can get some, and that will take your pedigree all the way back. Because most of the districts around here are based out of the same pot of ashes that we all started with, and I just got some along the way. These are great things, and my boys love the story I tell about Baden Powell and love about the ashes, and it's the history and of all the flags we've retired and our patriotic spirit that's in you sort of build it's a build-up, and they know that there's something going to happen when I put those ashes in the fire, and so I've got their all attention. So this is a great start. And then finally, the lighting. It can be slow and dramatic. It can be amazing. Just make sure it's safe. Last class I taught on this, they were talking about, the lighter fluid. I'm like, I prefer not the lighter fluid. That's not really the slow start. That's more the big start. But if you're going to do something more dramatic, make sure it's safe. Make sure a fire master knows what's going on and is prepared for it. And make sure that you're not doing something absolutely stupid. There are certain things, it's like, I know what we could do. We could just empty out like 14 different bottle rockets and we can put it in there. Seriously? Use your head just for a minute. There are all kinds of wonderful ways to start a fire. Just do it safe. The boys will love whatever you do. There are tons of opportunities to do that. We're going to shoot a flaming arrow from 30 feet away. What? Are you kidding me? So, there's all kinds of ways. Stay safe. You can even do stuff where it's audience participation, where they're providing the energy that brings it up. There's lots of opportunities here. So, when you're putting your program together, a lot of people go, well, we always do this song, we always do this skit. That is okay. Because there are some songs, some skits, some cheers that your boys love. It is their favorite. If they could only pick one thing to do, that would be the one they do. And just because you're repeating it doesn't mean you're copying out anything. It's giving your audience what they want. My pack has 2 favorite songs and 2 favorite stories. And it's in almost every single campfire. I try not to do it, and I will get you need to tell this story. Okay. And I try to change it a little bit, but they love those stories. And the parents, hate those songs because the kids will sing them constantly, and they're usually annoying little camp songs, but the boys love them and know them. So that's important. Have the boys do as much as possible. Leaders up front with them is okay, but the boys should be the stars. Okay? That's all there is to it. Songs. Key to remembering songs is if it's a song no one knows, it needs to be a repeat after me song. Do not hand out words to songs. It's dark. You've asked them not to use their flashlight. Can't read it. That's, you know, it's a silly thing to say, but I've seen it too many times, like, we're going to sing a brand new song. Okay, they're going to sing a repeat after me song.
Our kids, for example, love it when all the scout leaders get up there.
Yeah.
They love to see us do funny, stupid things.
Yeah, ham it up. That's exactly right. And they know when they see you doing it, they know it's, oh, this is going to be good. Yeah, and they anticipate it. Here's a bunch of different songs, you know, like, Hi, my name is Joe. Button Factory, everybody's done that one. That's a great song. Baby Shark is one of my boys' favorite songs. That and The Moose, both of those songs, my parents like, please stop. And I can't because it's their favorites.
I was a scout.
Yep.
Love that.
Skits and stunts. Okay. High point. Lots of dialogue and skits and stunts is the death of it. Boys are not Shakespearean actors. If there's much more than about 7, 8 words, it's just gonna die. Now there are exceptions, and some boys are really good at it. But the vast majority of boys typically speak right to them really hard, and you're like, what? Or then they talk, or they're reading here, and then everybody else around like, what did he say? For the next 5 minutes, and it's a horrible thing. Make sure you preview the skit, because you want to make sure it fits in the Scout Oath and Law. Absolutely. Now, also, if they're going to use props, oversized. Everyone needs to see it. If it's a teeny tiny little thing, it does nothing. And it's just like if the boys are doing facial expressions, that means nothing. What are you doing? I'm sad. No one can see that. You know, that's sad in a skit. You know, it needs to be one of those situations. The den leaders should be coaching, and you're demonstrating it when you're actually doing things too, about being to enunciate, to speak slower, to speak louder. Safety, safety, safety. Safety. All right, inappropriate skits happen. Happens. Very rarely in Cub Scouts, because Cub Scouts typically don't just on a whim decide to choose a different skit. That's not their style. Boy Scouts do, Cub Scouts no. If you have one, the MC should step in and immediately say, well, I'm stopping this skit right now, you know, and remind everyone, hey, we're out here to follow the Scout Oath and the Scout Law. And we got to remember that we have to be, you know, whatever the case may be, whatever they're hitting, we need to be respectful of so-and-so, which means we don't make fun of them. You know what? Great job, guys. Let's move on. And it's just a nice transition. You explain why you stopped it, but you move on, because anything more than that might embarrass the ones who did it, but you're not trying to do. You're just trying to teach. And it's important to stay on target with Scout Oath and Scout Law. Run-ons. Love run-ons. Cub Scouts are horrible at run-ons. They have no timing. Run-ons are all about timing. Now, having adults do these, love them. They're great. And the boys love them too. It's a running gag, great ones. We do the one where an adult leader goes to climb a tree, and he climbs, and every so often you call, hey, how many feet are you up there? And eventually he gets to a certain height, and you, wait a minute, the book says here there's no tree higher than 30 feet. And he's at 42. Ah! You know, the boys, it's just a simple little running gag. But there's all kinds of them that are fun, corny stories or whatever, corny little jokes that the boys love. And the adults do too. Lots of run-ons are a good thing. Stories. The key here on stories is this. Number one, you need to be a good storyteller. That's why boys in general don't do stories. They do skits and stunts. And then over time they can work up to stories. But stories are hard for a boy to tell because it's too much of keeping the audience involved and trying to make sure and using inflection to bring and using too many descriptive words. It's not a boy's style. Eventually they get to there, but it's not their typical style. So typically adults tell a story. Ghost, scary stories. Do not leave your boys at the end of the story. So there's a man with a hook in the forest, and he's still there. Good night. Yeah, that's a horrible story. Yeah, if you want night terror, that's the way to go. However, I do tell an intense story about the pink Amazon gorilla. and about how they go on and touching this gorilla's chasing them and all, and it gets really intense. The boys, you can see them leaning in. And at the very end, the gorilla rips open the car and he reaches down and tag, you're it, and then runs off. So it's got a funny ending. It's very intense, but then I release all the pressure. It's like, oh, but it was fun. That's the way to tell a intense, scary story, because you do not want, you know you've got kids there that they may not sleep away from home very often. The last thing a parent wants is their kid terrified in the tent. They'll talk to you constantly about it, and that's a bad thing. You can do all kinds of stories. Make sure you watch the length of the story. Anything that's more than about a 5-6 minute story is probably too long, unless it's really, you're an incredible storyteller. Some you can really pull it off, but it's once you get too far along, the boys heard enough, and they check out. All kinds of things, even general interest ones, stories like true stories, something that happened to me, or history of this area we're in. Those are good stories too. Folklore, American folklore is always great. Adventure stories. A lot of people don't do as much with the hero inspirational because, truthfully, a lot of times the inspirational portion of it we don't convey well at a 6 to 10-year-old level, and that's the only thing you got to pay attention to. Let's see here. Cheers. You can make anything into a cheer. Anything. The reading the book cheer. Flip. Flip. Shh. I just made a reading the book cheer. Okay, it's that kind of easy. You can make anything. But obviously, most cheers you like to get the boys up. As the MC, you'll say, okay, it's time to get everybody and release the energy. Everybody get up. We're going to do the watermelon cheer. Those kind of things. And the boys love it. They have a good time. You sit back down and back to the show. The MC should have a pocket full of those things in his head to where he can put them in every so often, especially during dead air. If one den is a little slower getting up there, you can throw a cheer in there, get everybody going, and then we're back to the show. I'm going a little faster, sorry, I'm out of time. Ceremonies. So ceremonies, this is a flag retirement ceremony. Having the boys of all of them, it's very good. Make sure that you are explaining exactly what's going on, what the process is, the dedication and the honor that it is to actually be part of a flag retirement ceremony, and the solemn moment that it is. You're treating it properly in that regard. Careful as far as safety. Nylon flags tend to melt fast. So if you're going to do one of those, notice I've got all of my boys outside the fire ring, and an adult is right behind each one of these boys to flip it in at that point. So they're not actually putting it into the fire because it doesn't. You can do cut method. I will cut it into pieces, and each boy gets a piece, and they walk to the fire and they say what they're thankful for, and they throw a piece in. And every single boy in my pack has a piece. It's really interesting to hear what they're thankful for. Plenty of opportunities there. Ceremonies for these kind of things at campfires are great. They just don't need to be very long. If it's going to be a 20-minute ceremony, you probably are going to stretch the attention span of most of the kids, at least the younger siblings for sure. Cubmaster Minute. Campfires are about teaching. Yes, it should be 1 minute. Notice 2 to 3 is too long. It should be a moment to teach something. Even if it's just as simple as the fact that we should be thankful for the outdoors. It can be very simple. In fact, it doesn't have to be some incredible, verbose, amazing concept. Most of the time I talk about the stars, and I talk about how the stars, we should consider each star as a promise that we've made in the past, and how they're reflected that we should always remember to follow through on. It could be something as simple as that, but you want to get something to where you're adding that one extra learning moment, a little thoughtfulness there. Very end, Vespers. You don't necessarily need to extinguish your fire at the end of the campfire, especially if you're going to do s'mores, but make sure that the fire master is responsible, and if you are going to extinguish it, coals are dead, you can put your hand in it, that kind of basic fire safety. All right, going a little faster. Okay. Have a bunch of plans. If it rains, if it does this, if it does that, the program's running way too long, you've got to have plans. And the MC should be able to, on the fly, take care of what they need to take care of. Run-ons in your pocket in case it's going too short. And the MC should always be ready to start a song if he needs to. So, safety, examine the area for hazards, you bet. Remind the audience to respect the fire ring, and it's okay to remind them several times, because it's about safety and safe clothing as well. All right, so we did planning. All right, here's the end. Here's the final thing. Number 1, have fun. Okay, planning's not fun. Yeah, it is. It can be. the imagining and putting together a really cool program is fun, even when you get to see it finally in fruition and come up and all the boys, the sparkle in their eyes. It's amazing, and they have a great time. Practicing seems like, oh, the kids don't like to practice, but they're learning something very valuable, that doing anything sometimes takes practice, and that's how you become successful. You have to practice and try something, and sometimes it doesn't work as well, and you try again. Scouting is one of the best programs. The fact that if you fail, it's not over. You adjust and you try it again. It's an amazing program for that. And you know, involve as many boys and adults as possible. Some people, that's not their gift. They do, I don't know, I don't really want to. Find something that is and get them up there. You know, anyone can lead a row, row, row your boat song. I mean, let's face it, there's not a whole lot to that. You're going to be one of the group leaders, and you're just going to sit there and row, row, and that's all you're doing. But now you're involved, and you got a little bit of success, and we can work it out that way. So, experience will make it better. If it works, great. If it doesn't, put it aside, try something else. It's never the end. Every program is brand new, and you can do something wonderful with it. So, have fun with it, and the boys will too. Very good. All right. Thanks.
Thank you.